Killer Mike inspires students for Spotlight's Distinguished Speaker Series.
And Georgia State men's soccer team defeats a nationally ranked opponent.
All that and more on Panther Report News. Hello, and welcome to Panther Report News. I'm Keelan Berrien.
And I'm Maya Grant.
Two separate cases of crime transpired last Friday night. One involved an armed robbery and the other was an attempted armed robbery. 3 students were impacted. Panther Report News' Kevin Sanchez spoke with one of the victims.
For the future of Georgia State, I just want to see an end to all these robberies, just to the frequent police reports.
On October 10th, Georgia State student Paul Kingasong was on his way to a study session when he was stopped by 2 men.
This is right where it happened. Eventually, he cocked the gun in my face, and I just gave up what I had and just tried to make a run for it.
He was one victim of the 2 violent cases that occurred that night.
So I just see these 2 guys come out from behind the little corridor by the Chick-fil-A, and at first I'm not sure what it is, if it's some kind of prank or something like that. And then as they approach me, I see the gun, and then immediately that's when the fear starts to kick in.
Crime Stoppers Greater Atlanta is now looking for the armed suspect. GSUPD Chief of Police Joseph Spillane addressed students after the incidents. Spillane says, quote, "With these recent reports, the police department wants you to know we're taking steps to ensure the continued safety of the university community." In a statement to PRN, Spillane says the police department is adding more patrols, overtime resources, and officers on foot, bicycle, and motorcycles. The department is also monitoring the campus in real time through cameras. Student Government Association Executive Vice President Hamza Rahman says they trust the work that the police department is doing.
We are confident in GSU security and GSUPD's ability to counter these. They have begun efforts to expand their security apparatus. They have made proposals that are under review by the administration, and we will lobby. We will lobby further for better student safety. We will not stand by and watch this happen to students.
But despite the confidence, Kingasong says more can still be done.
All these reassurances are very vague. I'm not really seeing visually or getting a hard number of what exactly they're doing to try to reduce this from happening.
The Georgia State chapter of March for Our Lives is hosting a rally on Saturday focusing on both gun violence on campus and by the police.
But in the end of the day, it is a college campus. Students are here to study. No one should have to fear for their lives on campus ever. And I just want to see that changed, yeah.
Kevin Sanchez, PRN.
He's a Grammy Award-winning artist, actor, and voice for the community. Killer Mike brought his knowledge on entrepreneurship and the entertainment industry for the Distinguished Speaker Series. And I had the opportunity to sit down with the mogul. Take a look.
I see students and I see the growth in the area. So not only is the campus expanding, student expanding in terms of you see such a diverse group of people that are moving together, that are transferring ideas and energy.
Killer Mike visited Georgia State yesterday as a part of Spotlight's Distinguished Speaker Series. I had the chance to speak with him about activism, entrepreneurship, and his personal experiences in the Atlanta area.
Being an activist is more than picking a side and knowing that side and yelling at the other side. You cannot be actively an activist or an advocate on the behalf of a community and organize on their behalf if they're not involved.
Students were actively engaged in the advice Killer Mike had to share. Wisdom and knowledge was shared in the room, and students took in every bit.
I don't know what they're going to take away. I hope that they take something away that helps them to grow them as individuals and to grow whatever their thoughts and campaigns are. I know I listen to people I agree and disagree with because I wanted to simply grow. I wanted some of my ideas to be challenged. I wanted further data on ideas that I thought were good ones. So I just hope something is learned, and I hope to learn something here even as a speaker.
Maya Grant, PRN.
Elijah Cummings passed away this Thursday night to many health challenges. He was beloved by many. Cummings made history when he became the first African American in Maryland to be named Speaker Pro Tem. He also served the U.S. House of Representatives for Maryland's 7th Congressional District. Before he died, he was serving as chairman of the Committee on the Oversight and Reform. Elijah Cummings will be missed by many people.
Why scroll on your Facebook feed when you can work with the site behind the screen? Cherie Pruitt has more about how computer science students now have the opportunity to share not just their media savviness, but professional skills too.
Computer computer science students take their futures to the next level in the Residence Engineering program. The 3-year program is a collaboration between Facebook and Georgia State University, which prepares students for their careers. Facebook software engineer Salish Kumar talks more about the learning process in a typical class.
In every class we follow an I do, we do, you do approach, where I first kind of model a new idea or a new concept, introduce some new material. We do like a guided activity, some kind of guided practice, and then I leave students to extend their learning on their own, and I can use that to kind of check students as they're going, and I can find out if a student doesn't understand something in the classroom itself and not on like a midterm or a final.
Here in the classroom itself, students can learn most of what they need to know through the residential engineering program.
There's a lot of skills that you need to succeed in industry or even in interviews that are not taught in the traditional classroom setting, and it's important to kind of have a nice mix of like both academia and like theoretical type knowledge as well as like application and what you would need in industry to kind of see what you'd like.
Georgia State student Darius Morris says the collaboration makes the university distinguished to neighboring engineering programs.
I think it's honestly a great help because our neighbors, Georgia Tech, are probably like one of the bigger tech schools in the country, and so we have to compete with them. And the fact that we have somebody who works at a big company, Facebook, who's here to like help like CS students, improve their code, learn how the real world coding works and such. I think that's going to definitely help us compete in the job market.
For more information on Facebook's program, visit gettingsmart.com. Cherie Pruitt, PRN.
Between the years of 1979 and 1981, at least 28 children were killed. This is commonly known as the Atlanta child murders. Georgia State hosted a screening about the documentary on the murders. Students and professionals watched the film and had the opportunity to speak with the creator, Mark Morey.
Well, I'm a graduate of Georgia State. I'm working with Bob Judson in the journalism department at Georgia State. We're working on one investigative documentary right now, so we hope to do more and involve Georgia State students and Georgia State television in that. To be an investigative journalist, you have to kind of be a skeptic, not accept things at face value. You have to realize that there's always a superficial story, which may at best just be part of the truth. And to get to the real story, if you just dig in and look, pull apart the covers, look underneath the rug, you'll find things.
Let's turn to Dominic for the latest update on sports.
How's it going, guys? I'm Dominic Strosky, and always we have another good show for you here on Primetime. This past week, the Georgia State softball team played Gordon University in an exhibition match. Reporter Crystal White spoke with senior outfielder Caitlin Ray about the game and about what she hopes from the team this coming season.
On a muddy, rainy Sunday, Georgia State softball team played against Gordon State College Lady Highlanders. The Lady Panthers hosted a doubleheader and came out on top in both games. The Highlanders wasn't close in either games, having a score below double digits. After the game, I talked to Georgia State senior Caitlin Ray.
Fall is a time to make mistakes and earn your position, your playing time. So games like this help us with learning how to communicate.
So they didn't make a comeback. You guys kept them below double digits. So what do you guys do so well?
Our pitchers pitched really well today. They've definitely stepped it up from the first weekend of fall, and that's why they didn't score any today. They did really, really good.
So what advice do you give to freshmen? Because you're a senior leader.
So don't take anything for granted. You're not promised the next play. You're not promised the next pitch. So when you get an opportunity, take advantage of it.
In Atlanta, for Panther Report News, I am Crystal White.
The Georgia State's women's soccer team had a rough week, falling in both of their matches 2-0. The women's team played Coastal Carolina and rival Georgia Southern, making their record 4-8-2 on the season. These two losses put the Panthers at 1-4-1 against Sunbelt foes, which is good for second to last in the conference standings. Despite the losses, forward Jimena Carbarero led the team with 5 total shots and 4 shots on goal, which is a career high in both. The Panthers will be facing off against Louisiana and Texas State this weekend. The men's soccer team, however, has had a bit of a roller coaster this week. The team started off with a Sun Belt Conference Championship rematch, but came up short against Georgia Southern 1-2. Reporter Caitlin Hubbard spoke with head coach Brett Surrency after the game.
The Georgia State Panthers faced off against the Georgia Southern Eagles last Saturday, October 12th. Unfortunately, the game didn't turn out the way the Panthers had hoped for, resulting in a final score of 2-1. Here's what Coach Surrency had to say.
Yeah, obviously disappointed. I thought we played really well tonight. Soccer's a cruel game at times. I thought we did some really good things, and unfortunately had two pretty bad moments, and at the end of the day that cost us the game. But I was proud of the boys to fight back. We had a lot of chances tonight.
Coach goes on to explain his plan for the upcoming games to get the Panthers back on track. They've been focused on the rival game for some time and are hoping to apply that same pressure to these next couple teams.
Yeah, I thought we moved the ball really well. We created tons of chances. I think the obvious answer to that is finish our chances. We just weren't clinical enough in the final third, in and around goal. Keeper made a couple saves, but for the most part, we just weren't good enough around goal.
The Panthers' energy was diligent, carrying all the way into the last 5 minutes of the game when Michael Fernley was able to even the score. However, a goal in the last 30 seconds ensured the victory for the Eagles.
But we created enough chances to score enough goals in multiple games tonight. It just didn't fall that way. Soccer is one of the few sports where you can be on top of a game and not win.
While the results of this game were less than fortunate, Surrency is still optimistic about the Panthers' future moving forward. The determination they held onto for the Southern game only proves that they're not done yet. This is Caitlin Hubbard with PRN.
Generally, after back-to-back losses, a team doesn't go and beat a nationally ranked opponent. But the Panthers proved that narrative wrong. This past Tuesday, the Panthers defeated number 10 UNC Charlotte on the road, while the men were outshot 4-23. As they say, a dub is a dub. Here's what head coach Brett Surrency had to say on the quick turnaround.
The Georgia State men's soccer team has a lot to celebrate. After the win over UNC Charlotte, ranked number 10 in the nation, the Panthers snapped a 2-game losing streak headed into their Saturday matchup against Howard. For Panthers head coach Brett Surrency, he's excited about the win, but not shocked at the outcome.
To be honest with you, I don't think that game surprised us in terms of where we think we can, go as a team and who we can compete with. The loss against Georgia Southern, I thought we played really well. Soccer is one of those games where sometimes you can play very, very well and not necessarily get the win. And we felt like that's what happened on Saturday. So our heads weren't down. We needed to clean some things up, and Tuesday was obviously a good result. I think we have a high belief in ourselves, and as long as that's coming with a good dose of humility, I think we can continue to move forward and progress, and hopefully we'll continue to win some games.
Georgia State sports has had success in recent history. For Surrency, here's where he ranks his win among others.
I think for us specifically, this was a massive win. 2 years ago we beat Wake Forest, who was number 2 in the country, and we were actually their only loss of the whole year until the NCAA tournament. RJ's shot's pretty big time, just because of the drama that came with it. Everybody obviously loves March Madness and the NCAA tournament. For me personally, since I've been at Georgia State, it'd probably be tough to top that, just because of everything that went with it. With the notoriety that it got us on the national scene, just for Georgia State's name, and then, again, the timing of the shot, Ron falling off of his stool, and all those things as well too. I think there was, there was a lot that went with that.
Going into Saturday's matchup against Howard, Surrency knows his team needs to stay focused in order to have success.
Yeah, they're always really difficult to play at home. It's a tough venue to play at, and we know that they'll be prepared to play at home. They're similar to us in that they lost their first conference games. I think for us, we're going to have to come out focused and ready to play. And if we're able to do that, that'll put us in a good position to hopefully win the game. If we're not, we have respect for what Howard can do, and we don't want to make things worse from our side by not preparing and controlling the things that we can control.
Game time is set for 1 p.m. in Washington, D.C. I am Anthony Patterson, Panther Report News.
The Panthers will be facing the Howard Bisons this weekend. The Georgia State volleyball team split their Texas road trip with a loss against Texas State and a win over UT Arlington. The Panthers were led by an impressive 5 blocks by senior Jamisha Griffin. Griffin currently averages just over 1 block per game, which leads the team and the Sun Belt as a whole. The Panthers will be facing ULM and Louisiana tomorrow and Sunday. The wild ride continues for the Georgia State football team. 3 weeks removed from a loss against bottom feeder Texas State, and 2 weeks removed from setting 8 total school records. The Panthers yet again shine in a win over Coastal Carolina. Our reporter Nigel Butler has more.
Georgia State defeated Coastal Carolina this past weekend, 31-21, with another record-breaking performance. The Panthers put together 350 total rushing yards, with Trey Barnett falling right behind Dan Ellington with 110 yards. Georgia State rushing game has been very effective lately, and here's what Barnett had to say about the past game.
We just been focusing on doing our jobs, looking at the smallest details, and just going out there and doing what we have to do, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, just focusing on doing our jobs and everything else opens up.
This is Barnett's third 100-yard game this season and fourth of his career. He now has 528 yards this season, and the Panthers plan to carry over this strong running game into their next game versus the Army.
We just got to lock in like we've been doing, look at our keys, look at our reads, and just do the same thing we've been doing, just keep faith in ourselves and just believe in one another and just keep getting better day by day.
The Panthers' run defense has struggled in the beginning of the season, giving up 450 yards to Western Michigan and 221 yards to Texas State. Over the past 2 games, the Panthers have only given up 220 yards combined. Coach Sean Elliott speaks on some changes that were made to the defense.
I think when you look at practices and preparations and guys that having probably not as much experience at times learning the game, and the game comes a little bit slower after you get a lot of reps up under you, and I just think that's game preparation and practice, and then going out there and having to execute it over the course of the game. We changed some things up defensively, but all in all, I attribute to our players just doing the things necessary to get better.
This weekend, Georgia State will face the Army on Saturday at 7 p.m. For all those who listen to the game on radio networks, you can tune in to 92.9 The Game. The Panthers are looking forward to the weekend.
You know, I hope consistency. I think that's one thing every coach would like to see. They'd like to see our defense consistently stop the run, which they have been doing of late, and then us offensively go out there and consistently do what we've been doing. Special teams, we have to get better, of course, and we're working on that. But all in all, I think if we just stay the course and do the things that we can control, we're going to be okay.
Speaking of new, Atlanta's own WNBA team, the Atlanta Dream, are changing the face of their franchise. Reporter Crystal White has the details.
WNBA Atlanta Dream hosted a press conference today announcing their rebranding and new location for next season. At the press conference, Atlanta's Dream co-owner Mary Brock and WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert were 2 of the speakers for the ceremony. The team announced their new logo through a video. The Dream will play in the new Gateway Arena in College Park. Here's Atlanta's Dream General Manager and President Chris Sango talking about why the team left State Farm Arena.
It's hard to fill 8,000 to 10,000 seats. This is a smaller arena. We know that we could fill it, and we had groups games of over 1,000 people alone. So there's a lot of different ways. Plus, we're engaging a different fan base than we had. A lot of people won't go into the city because of traffic or other things. Here, we can now work south of here and go towards Peachtree City or wherever we need to grow and get people here and go west and east. So I think there's a lot of opportunity, quite honestly, untapped opportunity that we've never gone after in the past.
And I am Crystal White for PRN.
That's all we have for you here on Primetime today. Be sure to follow us at GSUPRN for the latest updates and analysis. Now, back to you, Keelan.
So get this. According to a Georgia State study, monkeys demonstrate more effective problem-solving strategies compared to humans. The study reveals that humans suffer from learned biases, which is ultimately the downfall in making effective decisions. And this causes humans to overlook many possible opportunities and solutions to a problem. Georgia State graduate psychology student Julia Watzek says she's getting less surprised learning about monkeys outsmarting humans. African American students at Georgia State are all about embracing their natural hair. On Wednesday, resident assistants at Piedmont Central put on an event called Being Naturally You. Students gathered in the Connect Room to talk about their hair journeys, exchange various tips, tricks, and even recommend products.
Glitter, glitz, and glamour filled the streets this weekend as Atlanta embraced the love for Pride. The annual event celebrated the different faces of the LGBTQ+ community across the state of Georgia. Panther Reports News' Avion Gardner take us back.
I believe that we should lift each other up, and these festivals, indeed, I believe, lift everybody up.
Many people at Piedmont Park feel the same way as John Michael. This year marks the 49th Atlanta Pride celebration.
I'm loving this so much. It's much more than I expected, and I had high expectations already, so just all of it, it's so amazing.
Pride brings together so many different faces from the spectrum and is among several examples of activism.
It's still early, and they're expecting more than 75,000 people to join.
The Rainbow Pride flag was established in 1979 and still assigns a meaning to each color displayed as horizontal stripes, representing the movement as a whole.
My ability to lift my head up high, be who I am to the loudest degree, and my ability to influence and help my community and others around me.
The celebration of Pride is sparked by a series of events held in many different cities, demonstrated by the participants being proud of their individual freedom and diversity.
It still gives you that, there are other people like me, I'm not alone feel.
This is Avion Gardner, PRN.
You may know Ludacris, but do you know Chris Bridges? Well, Georgia State students, get ready because you could get to know both.
That's right. Georgia State announced that Ludacris will be an artist in residence at the university's Creative Media Industries Institute. And get this, the My Chick Bad rapper is going to make sure your grades look good this fall as both a lecturer and a mentor for students.
You know, Ludacris attended Georgia State in 1998 as a music management student. Look at that adorable Panther card photo.
It just goes to show that we could all be the next Ludacris. Well, that's our show.
Make sure you stay connected to Panther Report News throughout the week, and be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at GSUPRN.
And also, subscribe down below and let us know what you think about the show.
I'm Maya Grant.
And I'm Keelan Berrien.
And we'll see you next week.